The city lights cast long shadows through the floor-to-ceiling windows of conference room B as Maya Chen stared at her laptop screen, pretending to focus on the Morrison presentation. Across the mahogany table, Jessica Torres flipped through client files with mechanical precision, the silence between them thick enough to cut with a knife. It had been 3 weeks since Maya's promotion, 3 weeks since their friendship had shattered like glass against concrete. They'd barely spoken except when absolutely necessary, and even then, Jessica's words carried the chill of a winter storm. Tonight, a last-minute crisis had trapped them together, forced to collaborate on a presentation that could make or break the quarter. Maya's fingers hesitated over the keyboard. She could feel Jessica's presence like a magnetic force, simultaneously pulling her closer and pushing her away. The designer blazer that had made her feel powerful during the morning meeting now felt like armor that was too heavy to wear. "The Morrison presentation needs to be perfect," Maya said without looking up, her voice carefully neutral. "Victoria's watching every move I make." Jessica's pen stopped moving across the paper. When she spoke, her voice was ice. "Right. Your reputation's on the line." The words hit Maya like a physical blow. She'd heard that tone before late at night when Jessica had caught her crying over her ex, or when she'd stayed up all night helping Maya prepare for interviews. But never directed at her with such cold precision. Maya's chest tightened. "Jess, we need to talk about the Henderson account." Jessica finally looked up, her dark eyes flashing with something between anger and hurt. "What about it? That you reassigned it without telling me? Or that you gave it to someone with half my experience?" "That wasn't personal," Maya started, but Jessica was already standing, her chair scraping against the polished floor. "Everything's personal, Maya." Jessica's professional composure cracked, revealing the raw wound underneath. "We lived together for 3 years. I watched you practice presentations in our bathroom mirror. I know when you're lying." Maya slowly closed her laptop, the soft click echoing in the glass-enclosed space. For the first time in weeks, she looked directly at Jessica, really looked at her. The woman standing before her was exhausted, her usually perfect appearance slightly disheveled from working late. But underneath the anger, Maya could see something that made her heart race, the same vulnerability that had drawn her to Jessica from the very first day they'd met. "Fine," Maya whispered, her carefully constructed walls beginning to crumble. "You want the truth? I couldn't handle working that closely with you after everything." Jessica's anger faltered, replaced by confusion. "After what everything?" Maya stood up, moving around the table until only a few feet separated them. The city lights painted patterns on Jessica's face, highlighting the confusion in her eyes. "After I realized that losing your friendship wasn't the worst part about getting this promotion." "Then what was?" Maya's breath caught in her throat. She'd rehearsed this conversation 100 times in her head, but standing here now, with Jessica so close she could smell her familiar perfume, the words felt impossible to say. "The worst part," Maya said, her voice barely above a whisper, "was realizing that somewhere along the way, I'd fallen in love with you. And that this promotion meant I might lose any chance of telling you." The silence that followed was deafening. Jessica's eyes widened, her lips parting slightly in surprise. Maya could hear her own heartbeat thundering in her ears, could see her career potentially crashing down around her, but for the first time in weeks, she felt like she could breathe. Jessica took a step closer, close enough that Maya could see the gold flecks in her brown eyes. "Maya." "I know," Maya said quickly, misreading Jessica's expression. "I know this complicates everything. I know we can't." Jessica reached out, her fingers grazing Maya's cheek, stopping her mid-sentence. "You incredible fool," Jessica whispered, and there was something soft in her voice that Maya hadn't heard in weeks. "Do you really think I was angry just about the promotion?" Maya's world tilted. "What?" "I was angry because I thought you'd changed. I thought success had made you forget about us, about me." "But Maya..." Jessica's thumb traced along Maya's jawline. "I've been in love with you since our 2nd month as roommates. I just never thought someone like you could want someone like me." The confession hung in the air between them, fragile and precious. Maya felt tears prick at her eyes as she covered Jessica's hand with her own. "Someone like me?" Maya laughed softly, the sound breaking with emotion. Jess, you're brilliant. You're kind. You stayed up all night helping me study for the GMAT. You brought me soup when I had the flu and watched terrible movies with me when my heart got broken. You're everything I've ever wanted. Jessica stepped even closer until they were breathing the same air. Then why did you push me away? Because I was terrified, Maya admitted. Terrified that if I told you how I felt and you didn't feel the same way, I'd lose the most important person in my life. And when I got the promotion that should have been yours, I thought I'd lost you anyway. Jessica's other hand came up to cup Maya's face, her touch gentle but sure. You haven't lost me. You could never lose me. The space between them disappeared as Jessica leaned in, her lips brushing against Maya's in a kiss that tasted like coffee and forgiveness and promises of tomorrow. Maya melted into the touch, her hands finding Jessica's waist, pulling her closer as weeks of tension and longing poured out between them. When they finally broke apart, both were breathing hard, foreheads pressed together as they shared the same small space. So what happens now? Maya whispered, her thumb stroking along Jessica's cheek. Jessica smiled, the first real smile Maya had seen from her in weeks. Now we figure it out. Together. The way we should have been doing all along. Outside Conference Room B, the city continued its endless dance of lights and shadows, but inside, two hearts that had been breaking apart were finally learning how to beat as one.